In progress, great. So we won't delay today because we have a guest. Dipti, she passed the last SQE2 successfully. Um, and my congratulations and welcome to the role of solicitors.
Thank you, Olga. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so as per the format, you are able to ask questions about the SQE2. You cannot ask about the merits of the questions she had in the assessment, as it's forbidden to disclose. Just for you to remind anyway, you shouldn't even disclose it during the assessment or whenever, your own assessment. So they're quite strict about these rules. And let me start from very general things. That we have few people who actually attempted the QLTS OSCE first, and then they are planning to set this to see the SQ2. How do you think, is it more difficult to qualify via SQ2? On what sort of things you would emphasize for that purpose?
Um, so I personally did the same. I sat for MCT and then I did my OSCE sitting. But honestly, the major difference is essentially that the business paper is all tested in your writtens. You don't have to do a presentation in business, which I did back when I sat for OSCE. You don't have, and the certainty. I think the best part here is which interview, it's going to be either probate or property, it's going to be advocacy, and it is going to be civil and criminal. So it gives a lot of certainty. You know what you're reading a day before, you know what you're prepping for, until back in the day when you used to see the paper in your hand and okay, so this one is this. So it takes a time to adapt the situation, and it's a very overwhelming kind of a scenario there at the exam uh, center. There's so many things to be done, formalities, and of course you're all nervous, and it's a difficult exam. So I think this is much better, but also then in your writtens, in business they test you on everything. So you have to be 100% in your business, in your writing. Having said that, it gives some certainty as to what you're going to be tested on. So I found this one much better, where I knew that okay, I need to prep up for identified things. So if it's in property or probate interview, I knew my format of questions. If it's likely going to be wills, so I know I have to show concern. Property, I have to talk about things. So it gave me some uh, prep time and prep questions to really think of.
On the merits, were the questions different, or they are more or less similar to something we've used to have at the QTS?
Questions, I think in terms of content, they give more facts. They gave more issues in SQE compared to OSCE. So I would say that the questions are much more refined and have a lot of facts in it,
Mm.
lot of issues in it. So when you go to the exam center and you're writing it, you find only four issues. But when you go back home and think about the problem again, you can easily spot two more, because somewhere or the other they would have make situations complicated. And yeah, so I think they test you more on, and they get you more issues in SQE. So I think
Mm.
they have probably up their uh,
Standard.
examining, yeah, standards for sure.
But how do you find it's also the competition is slightly different because you now more compete with the locals, right? Uh, how do you feel? Have you seen more locals or foreign qualified?
Yes, so it is a mixed bag, and a lot of people from outside UK, and of course the locals as well.
Mm.
So in terms of, well, I didn't interact with a lot of people there, but yeah, from the sense of it, there were I'll say smart candidates and good competition.
Mm-hmm. I see. Any tips in general terms? And friends, please prepare your questions. You can ask them in the chat or you can just talk if you're not shy. Any tips? Something you'll find more difficult, something easier?
Yeah, sure. So my tips essentially, would be right before your orals. The way you revise 2 days before an exam for an oral exam versus a written exam, I think things should be aligned. In terms of orals, we should probably prep ourselves more on the softer aspects, which you don't need at all in the written set of things. But have the SQE marking in front of you. So going for an interview, you definitely should have some kind of a ready, thing to say that, oh, look, hello, hi, good morning. Your introduction, your summarizing of facts, asking open questions, showing some concern, concluding, how to summarize the whole situation. So have those things practice before, practice in front of a mirror. So all those should be a bunch of your revision steps before the exam. It's not that, end of it you're only revising your functional legal knowledge, because it's very important to revise and practice more on the softer side, because that's what matters. Similarly, in advocacy orals, uh, you know get your judge, ensure you're engaged with the judge, have that kind of a table probably ready right before your orals.